Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with Nevada Buck over here with no camera. What's good, Q?
Chill out. I'm working on it, working through these difficulties, man. Yeah, my partner in crime, Nevada Buck, showed me the way, so I'm following. That's all.
Man, I look back at yesterday's episode. I said, man, this looks like the fucking Buckeye Scoop over here, like Kirk Barton and Nevada Buck. Bro won't turn his camera on. But we are here. We have a starting quarterback. It's lying season. It is officially lying season, Q. We have a quarterback all off season. Everybody's like, are you going to beat Michigan? Are you going to beat Michigan? I'm like, nigga, I don't know who the quarterback is. I can't fucking tell you. But we know. We have an answer. Kyle McCord is officially named the starting quarterback at Ohio State yesterday in Ryan Day's press conference. Initial thoughts, Q.
Well, it only took 3 weeks. He did what I thought he should have did just 2 weeks ago because he basically just had a starting quarterback the whole time and rolled with it. So I'm glad we got here. I'm glad Kyle's getting his chance. Um, Devin Brown obviously still has some work to be done in Ryan Day's eyes. So it is what it is. It's time to roll, man. Kyle McCord, let's go. Let's go get this natty.
Absolutely. It's natty season. It's lion season. Before we jump in to all the notes, we got some housekeeping. Fans Edge tonight at 7:30. Mike, EG, Disney, and Cam. Yesterday, Mike and I recorded with Mark Rogers, so keep an eye out for me and Mike on the Voice of College Football. We got some news coming around that soon as well. And then we have Buckeye BS every Sunday at 10 a.m. and the college football pregame show at 10 to 11:30 on Saturday mornings with Big Chris Drew. Did I forget anything, Q?
No. More stuff in the works, but we'll keep that hidden for now. Men of mystery. But no, everything's good. Let's get to it.
Bet. What do you want to get started with? You got the notes in front of you.
Yeah. So watch Ryan Day's presser yesterday, and he talked about he named Kyle the starter. It's actually funny. Dave Biddle actually didn't ask that question first, so everybody got a laugh because he was like, "That's not where I was expecting you to go." But Ryan Day did want to mention Kyle McCord is the starter. He now has peace of mind. So he said he knew Kyle was the starter after the game, didn't want to tell the media. But he felt like this is now the right time, and consistency stood out. That's what separated Kyle from Devin. So consistency was there. Let me know what you think about that.
I'm just glad it's over. So one thing that I said during the game on Saturday was Ryan Day needs to come on to the press conference and immediately name Kyle McCord the starter and put a end to this quarterback battle. Don't let any speculation linger. Don't let people assume things over the next couple days that this is going to continue. Just come out and end it. And I caught hell for that on Twitter. They're like, absolutely not. You don't do something like that. You talk to the kids individually. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess you got a point. So it seems like Ryan Day knew coming out of the game who his quarterback was, but communicated that to them individually and didn't just come out and announce it in the press conference, which I think was the first thing that he handled correctly in his quarterback battle. So I was wrong there, and I think that Ryan Day did get it right. So I'm glad to see an end to this. I do think Kyle played in a way that deserved to get the starting position. So I'm excited to see where it goes. We've been screaming all off season, name a quarterback, name a quarterback. We have one. We named one for the first game. We named one for the rest of the season. We're ready to roll. So I'm just excited that we have this behind us. We've been so spoiled without any real legitimate quarterback battles in years since, JT Cardell, the
Um,
last serious
yeah,
one.
that went all the way through the fall. Yeah.
So, it's been a while, and I'm not looking forward to the next one. So, I'm excited to settle in, enjoy this team, know who our team is, and roll with it.
Well, the way the quarterbacks are set up, you're looking to have one maybe each year going down the line here, which is one guy after another. Figure you're going to have a second and third year guy in the system at the same time. So you might as well just pack in and get used to it. You're going to get some battles unless, of course, somebody balls out the year before and takes a leap and beats the guy in front of him and then comes back.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping. Well, who knows? We'll see what happens here. I'm hoping that we find a clean succession plan and we're able to, have an idea who our quarterback is going forward here. 1 year Kyle, 1 year of Devin, 1 year Lincoln. I'm sticking to it.
We'll hope so. So Ryan Day also talked about that. He did say consistency, but he said Kyle has the accuracy to be special. So that's what he didn't mention a special trait, but he's zoned in on the accuracy. I want to get your thoughts on that. After seeing Kyle for 2 weeks, everybody talked about, well, CJ had this, Dwayne had this. Do you believe Kyle has the accuracy to be special?
Um, do I think he has the accuracy to be special? Yes. Do I think his accuracy is what makes him special? No. I think that Kyle has a big arm. I think that's one of the big traits that they talked about when he was allegedly in a quarterback battle with CJ Stroud a couple years back. So I think that people are forgetting what a strong arm Kyle McCord has and that he
Yeah.
can really sling it around. And I feel like as this offense opens up and they start to take more deep shots, I think he'll prove that his arm strength is his greatest talent.
I can see that there. I mean, he does have a big arm. I mean, that throw to Marv in the Indiana game was just a dot. So most definitely, I'm like, if I can get more of that, I'm happy and good to go. But yeah, I'm gonna trust Ryan Day and say he's gonna be C.J. Stroud, deadly accurate. You did say it was lying season, so why not start now? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when talking about Devin, he said, "Ooh, there's actually some rain going on here in Arizona." I don't know where I get that in the back. That's too funny. But yeah, when talking about Devin, he said that Devin will still his role depends on the situation and the team he plays. So that will determine his role. I wanted to get your thoughts on what role do you think Devin's going to have? He said obviously depending on the opponent and the situation, that's going to determine it.
I think his role is backup quarterback. I don't want to get too cute here with this whole thing. We need to start punching teams in the mouth, beating their ass, and letting our backup quarterback play, the second half of the third through the fourth quarter. I'm sick of this Ryan Day type approach to like respecting teams and not wanting to run up the score. Motherfucker, we got a national championship to get ready for. Go out there, punch these teams in the mouth, beat their ass for 2.5 quarters, and then let your backup quarterback be your backup quarterback and carry you through. Especially because you're telling me that you think that we have two first round quarterbacks on the roster and that this was so close that we had to carry this into week 3 of the season before officially naming a starter. Man, go out there, beat someone's ass, and then go let our backup quarterback that's allegedly a first rounder go win the rest of the game. I don't know why we've gotten away from this running the score up on teams and being polite and being conservative, man. Once Big Ten play starts, man, there's no love lost between any of these teams. We're going to see them again next year. This isn't the MAC. This isn't the PSAC. This is the fucking Big Ten. We're a Power 2 conference. We need to get out there and fucking whoop everyone's ass and treat them like that. Especially, they're making enough fucking money, bro. You're out here getting paid more than $30 million more than Florida State, man. You're going to take this ass whooping. Come in here and get punched in the fucking mouth. And that's what we need to do. Go out there, punch these scrub ass teams in the mouth that are here just collecting checks. That's really our money because we fucking earn that for the Big Ten. A lot of these teams are just leeches at the bottom, and we're out here paying respect to them, bro. It's a Power 2 conference. Go out there, smack someone in the mouth, and let your backup quarterback play.
Yeah, I think so. You can't sit there and not let them get enough reps or things like that for not blowing teams out. Say, oh, the game's still too close. Like, man, air this shit out. Like, let's put some points on the board. Let's get guys in the game, and we'll talk about more. He talked about trying to get other guys in the game. We'll touch on that. But yeah, he said Devin. Obviously, he needs to be more consistent. I don't know. Consistent was his word of yesterday, man. Everything needs to be consistent. Offensive line's got to be consistent. Quarterback's got to be consistent. Ryan Day needs to be consistent. So all that consistency, let's hope it pays off. But yeah, he said he needed more specific. God Lord, be more consistent. The talent is there, but he hasn't played enough ball. So that was Ryan Day on quarterbacks. Before I move forward, everybody, we got 20 people in here. Make sure y'all like that video. If you get enough likes, you might see me later. I'm just messing around. But like that video, and also forgot to give my shout out. Matthew had the first chat in here. So Matthew, you get the shout out. Good morning, man. Good morning, everybody. And also let me know what you're drinking in the chat. So talking about let's go to the offensive line. So talking about the offensive line, Ryan Day was asked. He said, the offensive line is solid and they're still looking for consistency, but there was improvement. Ron, week 1 to week 2 offensive line. Did you think they improved, and do you think they'll be ready by the time we play Notre Dame?
I like the improvement that I saw from the interior and our right tackle. I think that we saw a lot of improvement there as far as alignment issues. We didn't see a lot of guys standing around with their hands in the air confused, but Josh Simmons has to be better. I think he's a liability right now and a big concern. Not only is it the mental mistakes with the penalties as far as getting hands in people's faces, holding, false starts, all of those things have to come to an end. I always say nothing infuriates me more than offensive line penalties and setting us off schedule with a new quarterback, a new center. I just don't think we can afford the mental mistakes. Okay, if you're going to hold to keep our quarterback upright, that's one thing. If you're going to jump off sides and set us behind, or if you're going to have hands to the face, those things have to stop. We can't. We talk about our struggles on third down. One of the reasons why we're struggling on third down is because we're getting off schedule with stupid penalties. And that's something that absolutely needs to be fixed. And people warned us coming into the season about how he was one of the most penalized players in the Power Five last year. And we were like, oh, no, Justin Fry will get that cleaned up, bro. We got one more week to figure it the fuck out, because I don't know how much longer this could last. And the way with I almost called him Ham Hartman. Bro, the way Sam Hartman is going ham out there, I guess is what I was trying to say. The way Sam Hartman's going crazy is that, like, I don't think we can afford to be behind the sticks. I think we're going to need to make the most of every drive. I don't think that they're going to try to milk the clock. And I think that we could get into a race depending on how this defense looks on Saturday against Western Kentucky. I'm really interested to see how they hold up against this passing attack, especially seeing a quarterback like Sam Hartman in 2 weeks.
Nah, yeah, 100%. Well, the one thing is consistent with it is getting penalties. So we got some consistency there. We just got to get the right consistency. But Ryan Day says he wants him to think clearly. He wants him to play free. So and he put his best foot forward. So, but like I said, I've always said I trust Justin Fry to get it right. I think he's one of the best O-line coaches in the country. And I have no worries about this offensive line until I have worries about this offensive line. He also talked about something much talked about was zone versus gap scheme. And this is what he said. He said, if you have a bigger, stronger offensive line, you're more built for gap. But if you have a more athletic offensive line, you're more built for zone. He believes Ohio State actually has both. So I want to get your thoughts on
Actually,
that.
I disagree. I think we have neither, bro. I don't think we have a big physical offensive line, nor do I think we have an athletic offensive line. I think we have a bunch of average sized guys that have average to below average athleticism overall. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about there. Do you, did you see Alabama's offensive line? I don't think they had someone under 300 pounds on the line. Their average offensive line is like offensive lineman is what, 6'5", 320. How many of those we got on our offensive line?
Not many. Those guys are pretty. Them in Texas over there, those guys are huge. They're moving
And
people.
Georgia, it seems that all the top teams were like, you know what? We should go get 5 DeJuan Jones. And we're like, well, we should get 1 and experiment with them for 4 years. Why? Why not? Why are we not getting bigger offensive linemen?
I say because all those guys we got beat for playing for Alabama and Georgia, Texas. That's probably why we would have had them if we won those battles, but we didn't. But I see what he's saying here. I think we do have some size. I think the worry was athleticism, but obviously Josh Fryer has looked a lot more athletic than I would have thought he would. I mean, y'all all hyped him, and I was like, oh no, but he's looking more athletic than I would have thought he would. Simmons is athletic while still having size, and we know the interior guys are going to go. So I see what he's saying here, but also too, the offensive line has to improve. It has to get more consistent, and that was one of the main things he harped on about them. But he also said guys will get in the flow, they get more reps, and they'll improve. So offensive line, hopefully by the Notre Dame game, they're good to go because that's when we really need them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking. I see Gojo saying that the line is massive, and I'm looking. He's right. 6'6", 313, Josh Fryer. 6'5", 310, Josh Simmons. 6'4", 320, Donovan Jackson. Carson Hinsman, 6'4", 300, a little bit light in the ass compared to the rest. But overall, pretty large offensive line. Maybe they'll show me something that I'm missing.
Yeah, like a couple more national TV games and they got you, Ron. Just for you. They gonna put a camera like I heard what you said on the podcast earlier. We
I'm
moving.
gonna show up. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up to one of the game to the Penn State game, and the offensive line is gonna see me walking into the skull session and be like, "Is that Ron James?" Instead of we're little, and just start fucking curling me. Who's little now, little man?
Oh man. So yeah. So then Ryan Day moved and he talked about lack of possessions. He said that's definitely one of the things he talked about mainly was how effective the offense was. And I think what he wanted to refer to is that with the lack of possessions, they're not getting in flow. And it kind of makes them press a little bit. So that may be what was resulting with the lack of scoring because of the lack of opportunities. And we talked about that obviously anymore, but they need those opportunities to also be consistent. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Ryan Day basically said not having these possessions is killing their consistency.
I'm like trying to find a balance of I completely agree with this clock and these teams not playing competitively. Like not trying to win, not really trying to push the issue. They're literally just trying to stay alive. They're running the ball, they're milking the clock, and they're just trying to get out of the game healthy. And I do think that the possessions are being limited, but at the same time, this clock rule's not changing before the end of the year. We need to learn to make the most of these possessions. We have to extend drives on third down and get our third down conversion percentage up. I know it's been atrocious this season. Our defense needs to do a better job of getting off the field sooner and getting the ball back to the offense. And that's something that Jim Knowles talked about in his interview. Like part of their job is getting the ball back to the offense. So while they're doing a great job of keeping the scores low, I mean, we've only given up 10 points in 2 games, but at the same time, you'd like to see them get the ball back to the offense. So I think it's a balance between the defense getting off the field faster and the offense making the most of their possessions and finishing off third down drives.
Yeah, and he talked about it was a two-edged sword. He said, one, fighting their consistency. Two, it's also keeping young guys off the field, having those lack of possessions, lack of points. Not a lot of young guys out there, which we haven't really seen other than Cardinal Tate on offense in these first couple of weeks. I want to get your thoughts on that. Do you think they need to find a way to mix in more young guys, even with the lack of possessions, or do you be like, all right, we're not scoring enough points, so just keep running the starters?
I'm to the point where like put the best 11 on the field and we have to roll with it. I want to get through these next couple games. Well, Western Kentucky, maybe if we're able to run up the score, but my two things are get through this Notre Dame game and then run up the score if you want everyone to play. I mean, that's the only option at this point. You
Yeah.
have to run the score up if you want these guys on the field or take risk and get them on during meaningful minutes because I don't think that like I said, the clock issue is not changing. There's nothing Ryan Day can do about it. So, like, I don't know how many weeks into the season we're still going to be talking about the clock and lack of possessions, but at some point, I hope we adjust and figure it out because we're just going to have to deal with the situation because it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Got to execute better on third down, regardless. But yeah, no, I'm with you. So he talked about one guy that needs to get touches on offense is Travion Henderson. He basically said Travion looked really good on Saturday, which we all saw. We all saw Travion, pulling his best 3K trade impersonation out. So still riding the train. But thoughts? Look at me, that look. Travion Henderson do 2 weeks. We both hyped him coming into the season. We seen him put his best foot forward Saturday with the limited amount of touches he had. I want to get your thoughts on how you think Travion Henderson is playing right now.
I think he's performing well. He didn't get the yards per carry that Ryan Day was looking for in week 1, but I feel like he bounced back in week 2. I mean, we talk about uh, getting young guys reps. I mean, Ryan Day feels like he's not getting enough reps for Travion Henderson. Travion's the starter. So I just don't know how much we can extend these snaps when we feel like we're not even getting enough reps for the guys that are going to be on the field playing the most meaningful minutes this season. Overall, I think Trey has the things that he struggles with, but overall, he is the back that we saw his freshman year and healthy. I think that he can do that. Once the offensive line gets some things shored up, I think we're going to see a similar Trey to what we saw his freshman year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think he looked really good on Saturday. Had some of the best, more exterior, and that's to credit to the exterior blocking. Obviously, you saw G. Scott in there, put his nose in, get a couple of blocks. Marv and Emeka have blocked a little better this season. Last season, they kind of took the blocking season off and saved it for Georgia. But this season, they're definitely getting their nose in there. They're getting blocks, and that's making Trey look a lot better. So I'm interested to see if we can continue. Hopefully, this offensive line can pick it up a little bit, and these backs should really have a breakout season, man. I felt like last year they were all injured, they're all hurt. We're flipping backs game to game, but knock on wood, we've been healthy. So keep these guys consistent in the offensive line, and I think we're going to have a really good running attack going into conference play. So
Before we jump into this next question, Q, I have a quick question I want to ask you that I've been thinking about for the past couple of days, and I want to get the chat's thoughts on this too. Make sure you guys smash that like button before you respond. But a question that I have for you and the rest of the chat: do you think in week one the decision to continue playing Kyle McCord had more to do with the game plan than the quarterbacks? And what I mean by that is, do you think that everyone's like, oh, they kept playing Kyle McCord because Kyle McCord was playing mid? How is that a reward to keep playing him like that? Something I've just been thinking about that game a lot, the Indiana game, and I'm wondering, when you watched all 22, there was so much 12 personnel, so many 3 tight end sets. It seemed like such a vanilla play calling. It didn't look like the traditional Ohio State offense. No real attempt to sling it around. Do you think Ryan Day's hesitancy to put Devin Brown in the game was that if Devin were to struggle and the game were to get tight, that he would have to open up the offense and didn't want to put Devin in a role to come into a tight game and have a limited playbook because he didn't want to open it up in front of Indiana week one?
That's a fairly good plan. I can see that. I mean, when Devin really didn't play in week one, and Kyle just kept people know he didn't make the wild plays, I just figured it was because the defense was playing well. He didn't want to risk turnovers, and Kyle wasn't exactly. I mean, that Marv throw in week one was one of the best throw, probably maybe the best throw I've seen this season. But yeah, I think he just wanted to kind of stay the course because no matter what, as long as they didn't turn the ball over, give Indiana too many chances, we were going to pull away in that game, even if it wasn't in the fashion that everybody wanted. But interesting point with Devin. I mean, yeah, because you just don't want to take that many risks on the road. Week one, have a guy out there like, if the game is tight or you're at risk of losing it, then it's like, well, heck, we're going to lose anyway. So live by the sword, die by the sword.
Or the game's tight and we're going to put in this backup quarterback and still call it conservative and ask him to find a way to win through conservative play calling. Like if Ryan Day felt that conservative play calling may limit Devin and slow the offense even more if Devin's not able to go out there. So if he already came in with the decision of, hey, I'm not opening it up, and now if I put in another quarterback, it could put us in a position where I have to open it up. I'm just rolling with this guy and getting us out of here with this vanilla game plan that I came in here with the idea of I'm not showing a lot week one. So it's just something that I've been thinking about the past couple of days, that was Ryan Day's decision more about, hey, let's get through this game without opening up the playbook, and instead of putting in another quarterback that one is going to be limited by the play calling that we've decided upon, and then also could I potentially have to open it up because I let it get so close because I'm calling a game vanilla with my quote unquote backup quarterback.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that. I see the point you're saying 100%, because I'm sitting there like, okay, he needs consistency at this time, and he doesn't want to open up, and that could hurt Devin just doing the routine things, because that's all he's talked about is Devin has struggled with consistency. So maybe doing the routine things he still has to get adjusted to, and obviously he get his best to you maybe let him take some risk and really put the ball out there, and he didn't want to do that. So Ryan Day's a big guy on the game flow and how the game's flowing, and that really determines his personnel, not just at quarterback, but across the board. So I can definitely see that theory you have. I mean, you may have to ask him yourself at the next press conference, but and you probably won't get an answer. But yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. And I felt like the way the game went, Kyle was the guy. If he didn't want to make any mistakes, he wanted to kind of be conservative and get through the game with a win.
Yeah, sorry for completely derailing the press conference talk, but I've like been sitting on that question for a while, and I'm like, I gotta ask someone that. The chat's just like, I'm not hearing it. No response from anyone. I'm like knocking on the computer screen. Wake up! Chat's dead over there. What are you guys doing? It's Hump Day. Wake up!
Yeah, no, that was actually the next note on my paper. No, it was not. But all good, all good. No, that's a great question, and yeah, I kind of agree with you there. So Ryan Day, this is actually an interesting point. Ryan Day was actually asked about what he has on his plate and other coaches stepping up with the offense. He said, and before I get into Western Kentucky, he said guys around the building are stepping up. Obviously, Justin Fry, Brian Hartline stepping into his new OC role. He's mentioned Joe Philbin, and he says the more these guys can handle, the more he will delegate and take things off his plate. Just want to ask you a couple games in the season. We know Ryan Day's calling plays and things like that, and he's taking the lion's share. Whereas as things stand right now, would you like to see him try to delegate a little more and get some things off his plate before we really get in the conference playing into the flow? Or you kind of like how the offense is flowing right now because that's what he mentioned.
No, I feel like Ryan Day has a lot on his plate, and I mean, he said coming out of last year, like we thought he was going to step back into more of a CEO role, give up the play calling duties, and take a step back. It's like, no, actually, you're going to have a quarterback battle go into the season, and you're going to still be calling plays. So, I mean, I feel like last year we talked a lot about Ryan Day having a ton on his plate with the defensive struggles, the new defense coming in. He hired Jim Knowles to be the CEO of the defense and really be, or what was the phrase they used, head coach of the defense. So, you know what I mean? He
Yeah.
felt like he took his hands off that side of the ball and like would have more time and more availability to handle other things. But it seems like he's busier than ever. And this year now he's dealing with a quarterback battle that just wrapped up in week 3. He's still calling plays. So it'll be interesting to see now that the battle's settled what the offense looks like and what Ryan Day feels like. In that press conference, one of the first things that I noted was he didn't seem as stressed. Like, I mean, maybe it's because it's a day removed from the game, but like I feel like you can tell when Ryan Day has a lot on his mind or the moment's getting pretty large. He seemed comfortable. He doesn't look like a guy that's worried about his team or doesn't feel like he has a quarterback. One thing that I do believe um, believe from Ryan Day is that I think he thinks he can win with either one of these quarterbacks, and I don't think that that's something that's keeping Ryan Day up at night. I feel like the decision was, but I don't think the ability to win with them is something that keeps him up at night.
Yeah, he does seem like he's starting to settle in a little bit. And obviously, if he's going to call plays like he did at the end of last season, I'm right with it. I don't think there's many people in the country, let alone on the staff, who's gonna put game plans better than that. So I'm rolling with it. But I also won't forget I want to see him overly stressed. I want to see him do too much. I feel like the offensive line struggles will take care of itself. That's what you hired Justin Fry for. I feel like Brian Hartline has a good chance here to grow in his role and take a little bit more, and hopefully we can get some distance between teams and let him call games a little bit because you might see the team start airing it out. So Hartline's calling plays 5 wide. Let's roll. So hopefully
5 wide with Brandon Innes at quarterback. You can't get as many wide receivers on the field as possible.
Can't get it confused. So yeah, that was a good point. Also too talked about vocal leadership. So he was asked by Berm. He said, "Is there enough vocal leaders on this team? Because the guys, Tommy, Cade, and XJ, are all pretty quiet guys off the field. They're not very like loud people as you would notice." So Ryan Day responded. He said, "Tommy actually has a strong voice on the field. He's one of the guys that's really heard out there, even though off the field he's pretty quiet. Mike Hall is a guy people hear. Travion Henderson is a guy people hear. He said Cade has shown good leadership on the field. And he also says the offensive line is usually a place that he gets leadership from, but because all those guys are young and kind of new in their role, he's not getting much from there like he usually would get. So I want to ask you with those notes, vocal leadership on this team, where you at with it? Is something we've talked about ad nauseum and maybe not getting enough. So want to get your thoughts on what Ryan Day said.
I think that we're going to see. I feel like now that the team is settled with a quarterback, we're going to see our quarterback be able to establish themselves as a vocal leader. We do have our captains. Tommy doesn't say much. XJ is not on the field as much as you would expect most captains to be. And I feel like as these games get tighter, it's going to be imperative for someone to step up and really step into that vocal role. And I mean, we heard about JTT doing it as a true freshman towards the end of the season and even last year. So maybe that's a guy that becomes more vocal and really steps up. But I think now that we have a starting quarterback, some of the leadership questions are going to kind of be answered in the next couple weeks to see how Kyle really asserts himself as the leader of this team now that he's officially the starter.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna see what leadership Kyle has, or not what leadership, but what impact Kyle's leadership on the offense has on this team. We're gonna turn a new leaf. Obviously, I love the other guys stepping up. I mean, Trey, Mike Hall. He said his 2021 class is where you're probably getting your better players on the team. So those guys have to be vocal. They have to be heard, and they have to lead. So it's good to see Mike Hall and Trey mentioned in there. Obviously, you got the old guard and Tommy and Cade, which you know you're going to get tough guys. You know they're going to bring the consistency. You know they're going to bring the physical nature. So hopefully we get a nice little balance in here. I just don't want to be another situation where fourth quarter Michigan game and guys are over there, you know, sipping tea while Michigan's on the other sideline talking about we're about to break these dudes. So let's not do that again. But I want to see where this grows.
Before we get on to this next question, bro, I guess I'm gonna have to play a commercial. I don't know if we got a new crew in here or what, but people must be allergic to the like button today because no one is liking the video. I don't know if we're being terrible, if they miss Q's face, if I'm just ugly as fuck. I don't know what's going on, but can we please smash that like button?
38 people.
I don't know what to do at this point, bro.
38 people here. Appreciate y'all rocking with us early in the morning, especially for me. It's like 5 o'clock, but it's what it is. I woke up at 4:30, so like the video for that.
Exactly. Shout out to Q.
Oh man. It also got rain in Arizona for the first time. As soon as I get out here to record, a giant monsoon just comes flying through. I'm like, all right, that's great. My mic's jacked up, but we work it. We work it. So after this, Ryan Dave, this is a couple good things. Talked about consistency, right? He said that a million times in his press conference. And they asked him, well, Ryan Day, what is consistency? And he said, you build consistency by being physical, being mentally prepared, and having the spirit to compete. Those three things are essential to this team. Rana, I want to ask you, these first two games, do you feel like this team has brought that to the game, or do you feel like they're lacking a little bit in their consistency as defined by Ryan Day?
That's an interesting definition, bro. I would love to see that in Buckeye Corner, the Ryan Day dictionary, for his explanation of what words mean to him. I think that would be a great Christmas present for all Buckeye fans that are always trying to decipher his press conferences. But I mean, consistency is going out there and whooping ass, bro. He used way too many words, bro. It's consistently whooping ass, whooping ass on the regular. He wants to see toughness and leadership. So that seemed to be his favorite word of the press conference yesterday. Consistency, consistency, consistency. So it'll be interesting to see this week now that I feel like all of the questions and the circus around the team are gone. I'm interested to see if they're able to lock in and take a step forward this week without the noise and the distraction of a quarterback battle and really just lock in with a starter, get them all the reps this week and go into a regular week of normal game planning. They're not splitting into two fields. They're not doing all this goofy shit now that the quarterback battle is over. So I would like to see some consistency in practice and preparation now that there's no longer a quarterback battle going on.
Yeah, and one thing he mentioned on is you can test that consistent success by how many guys grade out as champions. and how much they're winning situations. So we talked about third downs and how the struggle has been there. That is one key mark of, are we being consistent? Also, the amount of rushing yards per game, limited number of penalties. So those things is how he's going to measure both success for guys and how consistent this team is. So we got to keep a note on that, and we'll touch on that later. But yeah, so that's our mark. We know what consistency means now: being physical, being mentally prepared, and the spirit to compete. So Ryan Day also talked about Western Kentucky. We'll get into it. So he said this Western Kentucky team is going to be a good prep for Notre Dame. Guys have a chance to play their best ball here. So going forward, this Western Kentucky game, what do you think they offer, and where do you think Ohio State can really improve and show something that they haven't shown to this point in the season?
I feel like this is Denzel Burke's game to really prove that he's legit. We've been singing his praises these past couple weeks. He seems significantly more fit. He's getting his head around. He's tracking the ball in the air. He had an interception. We didn't have a single interception by a cornerback last year. This team is a pass-heavy team. I think that quarterback was in the top 10 in passing last year in the country. So I'm ready to see this secondary be challenged. And I think that Denzel Burke rises to the challenge and proves that. I mean, if Denzel Burke comes out here and balls out and doesn't look like a liability, I think we're talking about a day 1, day 2 draft pick.
Gee.
No, am I out ahead of my skis when I'm saying that Denzel Burke might be a day 1 draft pick? Or it's only 2 games. Am I getting ahead of myself?
I think you got a little ahead of yourself. I think it's gonna be a day 1 pick off of Western Kentucky.
What do you mean? They drafted Damon Arnett in the first round, bro.
He did, which is crazy. But
the NFL be doing wild shit.
That's just, everybody was like, okay. All right, we'll take it. BIA is back. But that's a great point. As far as Denzel Burke, I think he's shown, and to your credit, he has shown the ability that he can be a day 1 pick if he can stay, as he's been on these first 2. Sorry about that. As he's been on these first 2 days, or first 2 games. I'm sorry. So yeah, continue the course. As long as he improves, and we'll hop into Denzel Burke a little bit later. But yeah. As far as Western Kentucky, they're going to test the secondary, which was talked about a lot. He also mentioned he doesn't want, what is it? He said he doesn't want guys overlooking. He wants guys to focus on Western Kentucky and not focus on Notre Dame because that game's in a week. But he thinks this team is mentally locked in, and he says this team will not overlook Western Kentucky because you don't want them going on our head. Next thing you know, they got 28 points. It's going to look crazy. So that was his notes on Western Kentucky. But he also talked about the quarterback. And he said Austin Reed is super accurate. He has good vision. He gets the ball out, and he will challenge his OSU defense. I want to know your thoughts on this passing attack we're about to face outside Denzel Burke. You mentioned him, but just their quarterback and this passing attack we're about to go against.
I think overall it's necessary for this team, a challenge. I think Sam Hartman's a great quarterback, so I think going against Austin Reed, someone who's lit it up in college football already, is going to be a great test for this team, not only for the secondary, but for the defensive front. I think this team needs challenge in the passing game. We've seen these 1940s offenses the past 2 weeks. I think seeing someone that's going to go out there and swing the ball around, let our pass rushers have a chance to get after the quarterback, I think it's going to answer a lot of questions that we have. Is this secondary legit, and do we have pass rushing issues? So, because something that we've talked about the past 2 weeks is it, and I feel like this is something that we're talking about with every position group. It's only 2 weeks. We've heard the clock issues over and over again. Are we struggling, or is this limited opportunities? Like, we haven't had that many pass rush opportunities when we know that these teams are going to be throwing the ball and they pin their ears back and really get after the passer. Are they able to generate the sacks that we expected this year, or are we legitimately not getting the push off the edge that we expected and that we need? And if we don't see it this week, I think it's going to be time to really start looking at some of the younger guys on the edge and get more of a rotation in there to make sure that we're getting that push, because we haven't seen it yet. But I think this week will be a good test to see, are these guys legit and we've just been a victim of the schemes that we've faced, or are we missing a push off the edge this year?
Yeah, both Day and Jim Knowles, who we'll jump into next, talked about it. But he said, yeah, guys are going to get the opportunities this week to really have this pass rush affect the offense. So we're going to see that this week. And then hopefully these guys get some sacks. I mean, I want JT and Jet go out there and be first rounders, so they should get the opportunity here and going forward. Yeah, so that was Ryan Day. That's all he talked about before we hop into Jim Knowles. I won't make Ron do it, so I'll do make sure everybody liked the video, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Got 54 people in here. It's early, especially for myself. So like that video. Let me know what you're drinking. In the morning. This is the Buckeye Roast. So get your coffees out. Let's hop into Jim Knowles. So, Mr. Knowles, the guy who tells it to us straight, was asked, is their defensive ends doing their job? A lack of production early in the sack rush. Jim Knowles responded and said, Jack and JT are doing their jobs. There wasn't many opportunities to pass rush, but they'll get that this week. As far as Jack and JT, we've talked about them a lot on this show. First 2 weeks, where you at with them?
So coming off of week one of the first things that I said on Buckeye BS is I didn't notice JTT in the game, and he didn't have any sacks. But the one thing that I said was, I'm not the defensive line coach. I hadn't seen the all 22 film at that point. I was like, I don't know what their responsibilities are or what they're being asked to do, because how much can you criticize someone for not having sacks when your defense only gives up 3 points? Like Jim Knowles said, they haven't had the pass rushing opportunities. And you look after week one, JTT is the silver bullet of the game. And that was why I was hesitant to criticize, because as I am a Hall of Fame Twitter coach, I know what I know, and I know what I definitely don't know. And what I couldn't tell you coming out of that game was if JTT played well, because I was like, I don't want to get out here and criticize a guy that just played on a defense that only gave up 3 points. And clearly these guys on the edge are doing what they're being asked to do. One, because we're not giving up a ton of explosive plays. We're not no one's running up the score on us. We've only given up 10 points. And one thing, I guess it's disappointing not to hear their name called because they're not in the backfield getting sacks and TFLs. But at the same time, we're not saying their name because, you know what I mean, they're running past, they're contained on the edge and people are getting loose or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it seems like they're playing well within the scheme. They're playing well within the run game. So overall, I like the way that the edges have played. I would like to see more sacks, and I'm going to hold all criticism and judgment until after this game, when they don't have the excuse of they haven't had the pass rush opportunities. If a team like Western Kentucky is able to stifle our defensive ends that were, top 5 players in their class, not just top 5 ends, the top 2 of the top 5 players in the entire class, then I think we do have an issue.
Yeah, I'm a hold judgment for another week. Hopefully, these guys get after it, and then we'll tackle that next week. Ryan Day also talked about my guy Jordan Hancock. He said Hancock in that slot corner role, he showed the willingness to tackle, the toughness. That is what they are looking for. Ron, give me my flowers. Jordan Hancock, let me know what you see from him last week, and how prepared is he to be a draft pick this season?
I don't know if he's prepared to be a draft pick this season, but I do think he is an NFL player that will be drafted next year. I think Jordan Hancock absolutely has to play more. I didn't love what I saw out of Cam Martinez, and I want to apologize to Cam Martinez right now. I do.
Okay.
Because I have come to a mature place with this situation. I am no longer criticizing Cam Martinez. It is not his fault. He should not be playing. And this falls solely on coaching. I'm not going to get on here and continue to bash this kid that keeps getting on the field after proving time and time again that he's not ready and the coaches are putting him in this position. One, they need to either get him ready or stop putting him on the field. At this point, Cam Martinez is coming in and doing everything that the coaching staff is asking of him in the offseason and clearly doing something to earn time to get on the field. And then he's being put in positions and failing. And I don't know how many times you can allow someone to fail or struggle and continue to blame them, because at some point he shouldn't be on the field. And I don't think Cam Martinez is going out there and letting people run past him on purpose. I don't think that he just is some spy from Michigan that's trying to lose to the team up north. I genuinely think this kid is being put in positions that he shouldn't be in. And when he's in these positions, he's not performing. And I don't think that I'm not putting that on the kid anymore, because he's proven enough that he shouldn't be on the field. So if they keep putting him out there, it becomes a problem of coaching, because how many times can you ask this kid to do something that he's proven he's not able to do? So I feel like at some point he's being put in a position to fail because we haven't seen him be able to do these things and we keep asking him to. And how many times can you ask this kid to do something and one, not have him prepared to do it, and two, ask him to do something that he's proven that he can't do? So I'm moving my criticism of his struggles to the coaching staff. Like, kid's getting out there doing his best. Clearly they need to either prepare him more or find someone that can do it better. Like, I'm not criticizing him anymore because we've seen him get burned in the slot time and time and time and time and time again. How many times are they going to keep asking him to do that? He showed you I can't.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 17 times, shame on the coaches. So really, yeah, Kim Martinez, man, and we can jump in this for a second, is an interesting case because they've moved him around so much. Obviously, we know he played quarterback in high school, he played offense. They moved this guy around to so many positions. Your safety, your corner, now you're slot corner, now you're doing this, now you're doing that. And he's also had 42 coaches. So I mean, obviously, his circumstances a little bit has affected his development. Still feel like they should have just made him a straight corner. I mean, he's not a big dude. I don't know why he was really moved back to safety anyway. I mean, he seems to have the athleticism to do things. I mean, we talked about him returning punts for 42 years now, and they still won't let him do that. But I just think circumstances more have affected him. And yeah, I think they're putting him in a bad position because clearly he don't need to be covering slot guys like from that position. And obviously that fits a corner better because not even Cam Martinez. We've seen the Lathan Ransom get burned. We've seen plenty of safeties get killed by a slot receiver. So it's not just him. So very mature take there. We'll allow Cam Martinez. We'll blame the coaches for that one. But another guy he talked about that struggled a little bit, and this is your guy, is Malik Hartford. He said he struggled a little bit in the first series. So they brought in Jahad Carter. He said he just needs experience. He needs time to play, but they decided to go with a guy with a little more experience. Malik Hartford got the start, so that is impressive, especially for a freshman in the second game, but he did struggle a little bit. Do you think this is good, though? This is my question. Do you think it's good Malik Hartford struggled a little bit? He got the start, struggled, and now can go back, look at the film, and get better?
I mean, yes and no. I think it's good that he struggled. I think it's bad that he took him out of the game and didn't put him back in much. I don't think Jahad Carter showed much more, but it's concerning that they talk about the level of intelligence and how much that he's picked up the defense. And then the reason that you took him off the field was because he was confused out there. I mean, what are you calling on the first drive that someone's confused that's on your what did you prepare all week? You know what I'm saying? So is it something, was it a processing issue for him out there? Were they calling something that they didn't prepare for? It was just an overall strange position and strange situation. And then it's always weird, their handling of the safeties. It's like if you make a mistake at safety, it's like you're banished unless you're Cam Martinez. Like, Cam Martinez is the only safety that's allowed to go out there, make mistakes, and for some reason we keep seeing him. Josh Proctor misses a tackle. We'll see you week 6, buddy. Malik Hartford is confused in the goal line. Try again next week. Like, I just don't get this short leash with some of these guys, and then other guys are just allowed to go out there and fail on the job. People were so, oh, you guys want, and someone actually, you're probably watching the show too. So I saw whoever commented on the show yesterday. I forget the name. They're like, oh, you guys are always preaching this youth movement, and then you saw the way Malik Hartford looked out there. Why, when we ask for young players to be allowed to play, are they held to the standard of they need to be Heisman caliber day one when they step on the field, when the two people that for some reason in Buckeye Nation you're not allowed to criticize at all, the two linebackers, were putrid their first year on the field? God awful. Part of one of the worst defenses in the history of Ohio State. And they are the players that they are today because they were given those opportunities to fail and learn from them. And so I don't understand when these freshmen get on the field, everybody rushes to the timeline to point at us and say, that's what you wanted. Exactly. It is what we fucking wanted. We wanted them to be given the opportunity to get out there and fail and get these mistakes out of their system, because when we do play bigger games, we don't have that worry of, man, they've never played in a game. Oh, they've never had to deal with these checks in the goal lines. Oh, they've never seen this front. They've never seen that front. They have no film to coach off of. When they get in the game, that gives them opportunity to develop. And when you're playing teams like fucking Youngstown State, you should be able to allow them to make those mistakes. So it's just funny to me that people are so quick to rush to the timeline in the comments and point, oh, see what you got? You got what you wanted. I'm like, I did. I got what I wanted. I wanted our freshmen to get on the field and have the opportunity to fail. So when they do get on the field later in the season, they have those mistakes out of their system and they're able to learn from them early. And they're not learning these mistakes against a Georgia in a playoff game, against the Michigan in the game. So, yes, did Malik Hartford get out there and make mistakes and look confused in the red zone? Absolutely. But that's exactly what we want. The opportunity for these freshmen that get on the field and these young guys to have the opportunity to make mistakes in games that aren't going to cost us a game. So, yeah, did Malik Hartford struggle? Absolutely. But that's what you expect from a freshman, and they need to be given those opportunities. And that's the importance of having playing time for these young guys, because you'd much rather them make these mistakes and not know where to line up against Youngstown State instead of someone get hurt in the Michigan game and they have no idea what they're doing because they haven't been on the field all season.
No, I think we've mentioned that like 2,000 times, 4,872 now. Yeah, and I don't get, like, Malik Hartford was ahead of Jahad Carter. He's shown through a week into the game, into the season, that he's the better safety because he's getting the playing time, he's getting the start. Just because he makes a couple mistakes, like, that doesn't mean Jahad Carter's better, because you've already proved you thought that Malik Hartford was better walking into the game and he's the better safety and the better option. So letting a guy make a couple mistakes is fine as long as it's not costing you the game. Now, they come out running 4 verts from the 1 and he's getting beat twice. It's like, okay.
Well, this isn't Miami.
Yeah, right. You might need to go take a seat for a little bit. But I mean, the team allowed 7 points last week. So it wasn't like they were getting torched on the first drive, a couple bad plays here or there. But yeah, I mean, I still would like to see both guys. He did mention Josh Proctor too. He said Josh Proctor, once he's healthy, he'll be back and probably starting in that role. But I don't want to see a guy pulled so quickly. I would love to see a balance of both last week. Guys get playing time and get experience. So I want to see both Jahad Carter and Malik Hartford continue to get time. But I don't like the pulling after just one series. I'm like, all right, well, Josh Proctor treatment. We'll see you in a bit. Yeah. So talked about those two guys. He also talked about Igbinosun. He said Igbinosun has become a priority on this team because he's a physical corner who can tackle, and teams cannot target him in the run game, which helps a lot. Igbinosun, we hyped him up all offseason. We're so happy to get a corner into this room through 2 weeks. Want to get your grade on him, and how do you think he's been?
I think he's been great. I told you. Well, I wouldn't say great. I think he's been good, and as advertised. We were told that we were getting a physical corner. The one thing that stands out to me the most with him, and you mentioned it in your question, his ability to get involved in the run game. There were a couple times that I looked up the past 2 weeks and was like, who the fuck made that tackle? And it's number 1. And I'm like, look at Iggy running downhill and getting his nose in the run game. So seeing him wanting to tackle, that's awesome. I always used to joke about Denzel Burke. I've never seen a player more indifferent to tackling than Denzel. He just looks so disinterested in tackling people. So to have a corner that's really ready to stick his nose in it and smack someone, I love to see it. He's a physical corner. We saw the 1 pass interference call. The fact that he's aggressive and trying to get back to the ball, get his hand on the ball, put his hands on receivers, make them uncomfortable. I think that's huge, and it's not just about it's not just about his coverage snaps. I'm sure the type of corner that he is, I know he's talking shit in between plays. I know he has his hands on receivers when they just want to get out of their release and run their routes, and he's just going to be a pest all day. So I think that physicality, not only being able to support in the run game, but also just being a pest and, you know what I mean, having those reps against Marv on a daily and just being able to go against the best wide receivers in the country on a daily basis, I just think that's probably made him that much better during the offseason. So I'm really excited to see this corner play because I feel like it went from a position of weakness last year to possibly one of the biggest strengths on this team thus far. I don't want to get ahead of myself and anoint them a strength of this defense. I said possibly because they're really going to be tested this week. I feel like I feel like we're going to really have a good idea of what this team is after this week for two reasons. One, I feel like the pass rush and the secondary, the questions around those are going to be answered. I don't really think there are questions at linebacker. I feel like everybody knows what we have, and it is what it is. We have Tommy. We know what we're getting with those guys. We know what their deficiencies are. We know what they do well. The questions are: is this pass rush able to get home, and is this secondary improved? And I feel like both of those questions will get answered on Saturday. So, and then if Kyle McCord's able to come out here with a full week of reps, have a whole offense tailored to him, not be looking over his shoulder, not have Devin Brown randomly coming in on the 4 series and really just control the game as the quarterback, I feel like we're going to have an idea of one, what the potential of this offense could be, and if Kyle can really be that guy. I feel like we're going to see that on Saturday, and I feel like we're also going to have our defense tested in the ways that it needs tested this season. So I think this game is probably one of the most important games on the schedule because I think we're going to learn a lot about the team on Saturday.
Yeah, with you as far as David Ignosin, I think his impact into this room is one of the better ones in the off season. I mean, this room needed a dog. They needed somebody who's going to come in really with that attitude and affect the lineup. And you feel like he has. I mean, he just has that mentality that I would love to see sprinkled a little more around this team. And obviously, Gary Conley talked about it. He said, "You have to have that dog mentality to play corner at Ohio State. That's the standard of the room, and that's what he brings in." So that's exactly where I would like to see from him. And some quick notes from Jim Knowles about this defense. He says this defense. He sometimes he went a little hyper aggressive at Oklahoma State. He's realizing here he needs to pull that back because of his personnel. So quick thoughts on that. He said that defense was so effective because they just went crazy. But with the personnel here, you don't exactly need to do that. His philosophy has adjusted a little bit. Want to get your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think they hired Jim Knowles to come in and run a different defense. I feel like this is a needed adjustment just because we saw the struggles that aggressive play calling had. So I'm just a little concerned of, is Jim Knowles, the non-aggressive play caller, the best defensive coordinator in the country for the talent that we have here? Like, it just makes me wonder if he's changing his approach and philosophy. Is he still doing what makes him quote unquote great, or what makes him worth $2 million? So I'm just wondering what Jim Knowles, the non-aggressive defensive coordinator, looks like, and is that a $2 million man?
I like what he's saying here. Obviously, you have the talent to play. You have the guys that you didn't have there, so you don't have to take as many risks here. And I feel like that Georgia, that Georgia game. He's like, cover zero from the 20. Like, no, you don't need to do that. These guys can play without you being more, I guess, gimmicky as people would call it, but just too aggressive to the point where you're leaving it to where if one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong. So I don't think he needs to do that here. I kind of like that he's adjusting to the personnel. He's adjusting his philosophy a bit, and adjusting to the most important thing is you adjust to the players that you have. When you have great players on defense, you don't need to do as much. You just need to go let them play, and that's what he said. He said, "Let these guys go play, go win the game, and keep the points off the board." Is the three notes that he wants to have with his defense. So I'm solid with where he's at right now.
Uh, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see if one, he's able to stick to his guns, or two, if he reverts back to his old self as the games get tight.
Yeah. So basically, that's what Jim Knowles talked about. So that's notes from the day. Ron, you got anything else?
No, I would just say keep an eye out. We have some things to announce soon with Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. We have some things with Bleacher Report that we're going to be announcing soon. We have the Fans Edge tonight at 7:30. Just big things on the way, and then a big game here on Saturday for the Buckeyes. That's all I have. What's going on with you? How's Arizona treating you? You brought the rain from the Northeast down to Arizona. You forgot your camera, but you're there. The rain's there. How is your time going there?
Just gotta get everything working. I have my camera. I just don't want to be lagging out like I did yesterday. But like I said, storm just passed through. I got palm trees from my patio. It's been hot, but right now it's like perfect weather. So I can't
What's
complain.
perfect weather? Go ahead and say a ridiculous temperature and tell me it's
No,
perfect
for real.
weather.
Right now, okay. So right now it's 74, but it's gonna hit
Oh, okay.
96 today. So it's actually like
Yeah.
perfect weather. So I'm driving, man. I'm chilling. When it gets cold, fly out here and we'll both have internet connection issues trying to do our morning show. So let's roll from there. But everything's good.
Well, I'm super thankful for you doing this because I know you were up before the ass crack of dawn. So I appreciate you waking up to talk Buckeye football at 3 in the morning or whatever time it is there. By the time this
Close
show
enough.
and by the time we get to week 12, I'm gonna have you on London time. You're gonna be so far behind us. So I appreciate you doing this. Let the people know where they could find you because your boy got to get to work.
Yeah. City Boy Quitting, Flying the Jobs on Instagram, Minor League Films, TikTok, YouTube, Ron.
If you want to find me, you can find me at 2Ts on Twitter. That's 2_TES. It's the same thing on Twitch. It's 2Shiesty on TikTok. We have the Fans Edge tonight right here on this channel at 7:30 with Mike, Cam, EG, and Disney. We have the college football pregame show on Saturday with Big Chris Drew from 10 to 11:30 and the flagship Buckeye BS on Sundays at 10 a.m. with the whole gang, Mike, Cam, me, Q, everybody's there, and of course the Buckeye Roast every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. We appreciate you guys joining us today, and have a good one. Go Bucks!
Like the video.
Yeah, smash that like button.
Yeah.